These delicious ube brownies should actually be called ube blondies since we're not using any chocolate. Maybe we can call them ube purplies, but no one's gonna know what we're talking about, so let's stick to the word brownies. This video is a walkthrough on how to make the brownies, including helpful tips to make sure your brownies come out moist and scrumptious. For the full recipe, head on over to my website, amusingmaria.com. Let's get started. The main tools you'll need are measuring cups and spoons, 2 large bowls, a wire whisk, and a spatula. Sift the dry ingredients and mix with a whisk or spatula to combine. Sifting and mixing will make sure that your ube brownie will rise evenly when baked. Set the bowl aside. Now we move on to combining our sugar and butter. You'll notice that I'm only using light brown sugar, but you can use a combination of both white and brown sugar, or just white sugar if that's what you have available. I prefer using brown sugar and also melted butter since it makes the brownies moist and chewy. Really, it's all just a matter of preference, but also make your life easy and use what you have in your kitchen. Mix the butter and sugar together with a whisk. The texture will change the longer you mix the 2 ingredients. The mixture will actually get thicker and harder to mix, so just keep going. You'll also need to scrape the sides of the bowl with a spatula to make sure that all the sugar is combined with the butter. Just a reminder, you can go to amusingmaria.com and find a printable recipe for these ube brownies. If your butter and sugar mixture gets clumpy, just get your spatula and scrape the whisk and the sides of the bowl and just keep on mixing. You will know it's done when the mixture changes into a lighter color. Okay, now let's move on to the next step. Add the egg and ube extract. The brands I use are either McCormick or Butterfly. I included affiliated links in the description below where to get ube extract as well as other tools that you see in this video. Mix the egg and ube extract together with a whisk. Remember to scrape the sides of the bowl with the whisk to fully combine the ingredients. Keep mixing until the batter is smooth and evenly drips from the whisk. Add the flour gradually and then fold in gently until combined. I usually add dry ingredients in 3 additions, but for brownies and blondies this really isn't necessary. However, I noticed that gradually adding the flour like you see in the video prevents lumps in the batter, or it could just be a habit of mine. You'll also often hear, "Don't overmix" when dealing with batter. This is actually to avoid adding too much air, which causes the brownie to collapse during baking. It also prevents the brownies from being dense and heavy once it's baked. So how do we know when you're done mixing? I recommend folding, including scraping the sides of the bowl, and then continue folding just enough until no traces of flour or dry ingredients can be seen in the batter. I'm using an 11 by 7 inch baking pan, which results in brownies that are about 1/4 of an inch thick. For thicker brownies, an 8 by 8 inch pan can be used, but the baking time will be different. Notice that I greased the pan before lining it with parchment paper. This helps the parchment stick when transferring the thick batter onto the baking pan. If you don't have parchment paper, just grease the bottom and the sides of the pan, especially the corners, before adding the batter. Evenly distribute the batter using a regular spatula or an offset spatula. An offset spatula is one of the most useful tools to have in the kitchen. I use it for brownies, cake batter, and when frosting cakes. Try to smoothen the surface of the brownies as much as you can. I've included a link below where you can get an offset spatula. Now bake the ube brownies in a 350-degree oven for 16 to 18 minutes or until a toothpick or tester comes out clean. If you want fudgy ube brownies, bake for about 13 to 14 minutes. When you test the brownies, a few moist fudgy crumbs should stick to the tester or toothpick. Just a reminder, the baking time I recommended is for an 11 by 7 baking pan. A smaller pan with thicker brownies will need a longer time to bake. Leave the baked ube brownies to cool on a wire rack. Once cooled, remove the brownies from the pan and set it on an even surface. Now we're ready to cut the brownies into squares. Lightly spray a paper towel with oil and wipe it very carefully on a knife. I used a stainless steel ruler, which you'll see in a moment, as a guide to cut my brownies as evenly as possible. Now, I think it would have been better if I first cut the brownie in the center to make even squares, but it's too late, so let's just keep going. Using the lines of the ruler, slowly cut the brownie by pressing the knife down gently. Do not saw or go back and forth with the knife since this will create crumbs and an uneven cut. By the way, a ruler is not necessary at all. You can eyeball the squares and cut as evenly as possible. The most important and last step is to remember to do a taste test. This makes sure that you're rewarding yourself for a job well done. And that's it. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel to get updates on new recipes.